Continuing with the Evergreen experience, hadn't been there very long until it was very clear that if you wanted to know anything about your students and their past problems and history, call on Riley Scott. He truly was the old man of the mountain. He'd been up there for years and years. High school principal Dick Lee, great man, great educator, but he'd only been up there a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4, I don't really know. And of course I was new. And if I had concerns about the progress of a young fellow or girl in the junior high, I consulted with Riley, and I never once, not only not that first year, but every year of the 5 years I was up there, I never once contacted that man that he didn't know the individual I was asking about, if he'd had him, of course, and didn't usually, if he thought it was appropriate, have some background to help me understand where that young boy or girl was coming from. Riley wasn't perfect in some ways, but he was just about as perfect in terms of loving kids and knowing kids and understanding kids as any human being I ever met. Well, somewhere early in the year, he let me know I should get up and meet the director of Forest Heights Lodge. And I'd been hearing from people telling me about Forest Heights Lodge. The name Hank Schwartz and his wife, Mrs. Schwartz, came up as the originators, the founders of Forest Heights Lodge, and that they took really troubled boys up there and helped them recover. Well, I can't remember his successor's name, and I liked him very much, but I'll call him Charles just for convenience here. That was not his name, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, made an appointment, went up, and I got the cook's tour. Boy, he took me through every part of the operation, introduced me to his staff, and then we're moving out into an open area, kind of, you know, like a backyard, like a play area. And sitting over to the side of that area was a boy, I would have guessed him 8 to 10 years old, I don't really know, but a rather frail boy, but lanky, you know, wasn't any kindergartner. And he was rocking, I can't remember if he was kneeling or sitting, but he was rocking hard and banging his head, visible shock every time his head hit, hitting a solid post that was padded. Boy, I didn't like that. And as we moved away from that area, Charles knew I hadn't liked it, and he, you know, opened the thing up for me to express myself, and I said, boy, you know, what was going on there? How could that be all right? What was going on? He never batted an eye. He looked me straight in the eye and said, that boy was working at getting well. You hear the words, but with no more experience in dealing with really troubled children, I had a little trouble accepting the word. And we moved on down the line a little bit, and he said, you know, we take children, we take boys that society has given up on, and Hank set a standard of 90, I think he said 95 or 6% success. And he said, we're dedicated to following his regimens and to continuing that rate of success. By the way, you may notice my eyes are a little red. I shed a few tears as I worked on this one and alternated between writing and watching Asner on television with the television show Generation Gap. Thought a lot about my autistic grandson that's now 14 or 15 years old. Well, so I was impressed. He didn't say a whole lot until we were way away from that kid. I don't know if he said that boy or not, but he said, you know, we have a boy here that was sexually abused by his own mother so often and so brutally that he couldn't take it, and he would run away. He would sneak out of the house. He'd go out a window. He was picked up repeatedly at night on the streets of a major city until they finally not only took him away, but asked us if we'd take him. Whoa. Well, tour completed. I went on back. It was a good visit. I didn't ask him if I had any of his wards in the junior high at the present time, and he didn't tell me whether there was or wasn't. It was a good visit for 2 or 3 reasons. Educational. Gave me a lot of insight into what these wonderful people were doing and trying to do. But it also let us have a very neutral introduction orientation of the new principal, with no issues concerning an individual student. And you know what? As those 5 years rapidly moved along, we had some issues. And I'll get to 1 or 2 of those later.